In a galaxy fraught with conflict and the clash of titanic figures, a hypothetical showdown between Knightfall Vader and Darth Sidious is a fascinating debate. These two iconic figures from the Star Wars universe represent immense power in the Force, but their strengths manifest in dramatically different ways. Examining their abilities, mental fortitude, and potential tactics provides a glimpse into how this titanic confrontation might unfold. Knightfall Vader, the incarnation of Anakin Skywalker at the moment of his turn to the dark side, represents raw, untamed potential. This version of Vader is in his prime physically, and his connection to the Force is nearly unparalleled. However, this stage of his transformation also embodies a volatile mix of anger, confusion, and desperation. His betrayal of the Jedi and commitment to Darth Sidious are fresh, fueling his actions with a potent but unstable energy. Anakin's prowess with a lightsaber is legendary. As a duelist, few could rival him. He seamlessly combines aggressive offense with intuitive defense, leveraging his heightened reflexes and precognitive abilities granted by the Force. In the context of combat, Knightfall Vader's overwhelming passion and drive could serve as both a strength and a liability. His commitment to the dark side gives him access to its destructive powers: Force choke, devastating telekinetic strikes, and bursts of lightning-fast aggression. But his mindset teeters on the edge of recklessness. In many ways, his greatest challenge in such a duel would not only be his opponent but himself. His emotions, though powerful, cloud his judgment and could lead to mistakes in the heat of battle. On the other hand, Darth Sidious is the epitome of mastery and control over the dark side of the Force. As the Dark Lord of the Sith, his abilities in manipulating both people and the Force itself are honed to near perfection. Sidious, also known as Emperor Palpatine, is not just a combatant but a grandmaster strategist. Every move he makes, whether in lightsaber combat or in the political arena, is calculated and deliberate. Unlike the raw, feral aggression of Knightfall Vader, Sidious's approach is cold, precise, and devastatingly effective. Sidious's knowledge of Sith techniques and his ability to harness the dark side in its most sinister forms would be critical in this duel. His Force Lightning, a signature ability, is among the most destructive weapons in his arsenal. Combined with his mastery of Sith sorcery and his cunning intelligence, Sidious presents a nearly insurmountable challenge. His skills in lightsaber combat, while not as flamboyant as Knightfall Vader's, are nonetheless formidable. As demonstrated during his duel with Mace Windu and other Jedi Masters, he is lethal with a blade, blending speed, deception, and precision to overwhelm even the most skilled opponents. Should these two titans meet in a duel, the clash would likely be as much psychological as it would be physical. Darth Sidious, having manipulated Anakin Skywalker into becoming Darth Vader, holds a profound understanding of his apprentice's psyche. He knows the buttons to push, the fears to exploit, and the weaknesses to expose. This insight would give Sidious a significant edge in the battle, allowing him to disrupt Knightfall Vader's focus and push him into making rash decisions. Knightfall Vader's potential advantage lies in his overwhelming strength and his ability to channel his fury into raw, destructive power. In a direct clash, Vader's sheer physicality and relentless aggression could place Sidious on the defensive. The young Sith's ability to unleash devastating telekinetic strikes and combine them with relentless lightsaber assaults would test even the Dark Lord's defenses. However, Sidious's ability to counter with his own mastery of the Force and his strategic use of lightning, illusions, and other dark side techniques could neutralize this advantage. The setting of the confrontation would also play a crucial role. If the battle were to take place in the throne room on Coruscant, Sidious would have the home field advantage, potentially drawing power from the nexus of dark side energy he cultivated there. However, if the fight occurred in a neutral or chaotic environment, Knightfall Vader might capitalize on the opportunity to unleash his raw power without restraint. While Knightfall Vader's potential for destruction is immense, his inexperience with the full scope of the dark side compared to Sidious is a glaring weakness. Sidious, having spent decades mastering the Sith arts, would exploit Vader's impulsiveness. He could lure his apprentice into traps or feints, using Vader's aggression against him. Sidious's ability to remain calm and composed under pressure contrasts sharply with Vader's tempestuous nature, making the younger Sith more prone to overextending himself or falling for deception. Vader's emotional state, a blend of rage and guilt, might also come into play during the duel. While anger fuels his strength, the weight of his actions and the conflict within him could be vulnerabilities that Sidious is uniquely equipped to exploit. Sidious's manipulative nature would allow him to prey on Vader's doubts, potentially destabilizing his resolve and causing him to falter at critical moments. In a prolonged engagement, Sidious's superior stamina and tactical acumen would likely tilt the scales in his favor. Knightfall Vader, for all his power, is still a nascent Sith newly turned and unaccustomed to the sustained demands of high-level dark side combat. Sidious's experience, honed over decades of plotting and dueling, would allow him to pace the battle, conserving energy while systematically wearing down his opponent. In contrast, a quick, decisive confrontation might favor Knightfall Vader. If Vader could leverage his overwhelming aggression and raw power to strike down Sidious early, he might emerge victorious. However, such an outcome would depend on Vader maintaining focus and avoiding the traps and diversion Sidious would undoubtedly employ. Ultimately, the question of who would win in a duel between Knightfall Vader and Darth Sidious hinges on the dynamics of the battle itself. Vader's raw power and relentless aggression could overwhelm Sidious in a direct clash, but the Dark Lord's cunning, mastery of the Force, and psychological manipulation would give him a substantial edge. The duel would be a contest of unbridled potential versus refined mastery, a microcosm of the eternal struggle between the dark side's chaotic and controlled aspects. Knightfall Vader, despite his immense abilities, would likely find himself outmatched against a foe who embodies the pinnacle of Sith cunning and power. Darth Sidious's depth of knowledge and experience in both combat and manipulation make him a truly formidable adversary, and his ability to anticipate and counter his apprentice's moves would be key to his victory. The fight would undoubtedly be fierce and destructive, but in the end, it is difficult to see Knightfall Vader overcoming the orchestrator of his own fall. Knightfall Vader's stamina is an often underappreciated aspect of his power, but it becomes a significant point of consideration when assessing his potential against Darth Sidious. Anakin Skywalker's resilience and unyielding endurance were vividly demonstrated in his duel against Obi-Wan Kenobi on Mustafar. This confrontation, one of the most intense and physically demanding battles in the Star Wars saga, showcases Anakin's seemingly boundless energy and his capacity to maintain a relentless pace without faltering. The duel with Obi-Wan was not only a test of skill but also of sheer physical and mental endurance. The battle raged across the molten, unstable environment of Mustafar, lasting an extraordinary length of time and spanning a variety of terrains. Anakin's ability to sustain high levels of performance in such an environment, while fighting one of the Jedi Order's most skilled swordsmen, underscores his immense stamina. Unlike most fighters, who would have shown signs of fatigue or faltering breath as the duel dragged on, Anakin maintained his relentless aggression throughout. Key moments in this duel highlight Anakin's superior stamina. His strikes were consistently powerful and precise, showing no sign of weakening even as the battle escalated to its most intense stages. His capacity to leap, dodge, and maneuver with incredible agility, all while engaging in an unrelenting offensive, speaks volumes about his physical conditioning and his ability to draw on the Force to sustain himself. His breath remained steady, his movements sharp, and his strikes unwavering, even in the face of Obi-Wan's tactical defenses and the extreme heat and instability of Mustafar's terrain. What separates Anakin from most combatants is his ability to channel the Force in a way that fuels his stamina. The Force acts as a wellspring of energy for him, allowing him to push his body beyond normal physical limits. This capacity, combined with his already exceptional physical conditioning, effectively grants him an unlimited tank of stamina. No matter how long the fight lasted or how grueling the circumstances, Anakin showed no signs of slowing down or losing his edge. This endurance would be a key factor in a duel with Darth Sidious. While Sidious might attempt to outlast his opponent, exploiting a more measured and calculated approach, Knightfall Vader's stamina would likely negate this strategy. Anakin's ability to maintain peak performance over extended periods would allow him to keep up a relentless assault, potentially forcing Sidious into a defensive position. The weight of Anakin's attacks, combined with his refusal to tire, could disrupt Sidious's carefully planned tactics and force the Dark Lord to expend more energy than he might otherwise prefer. However, Sidious would be well aware of this trait. As Anakin's former mentor and the orchestrator of his fall to the dark side, Sidious has a deep understanding of his apprentice's strengths, including his extraordinary endurance. This knowledge would likely influence Sidious's strategy, driving him to seek a way to exploit Anakin's emotional volatility rather than engaging him in a prolonged, grueling contest of endurance. Still, Knightfall Vader's stamina is an undeniable asset that makes him a terrifying opponent in any battle. His duel with Obi-Wan, fought in one of the most hostile environments imaginable, stands as a testament to his unyielding energy and determination. This capacity to sustain his aggression and focus over extended periods would ensure that, in a duel with Sidious, he would remain a formidable force throughout, pressing the attack with a ferocity and endurance that few, if any, could hope to match. While Knightfall Vader is a formidable combatant with raw power, relentless aggression, and near-limitless stamina, the balance of power ultimately tips in favor of Darth Sidious. The Dark Lord of the Sith's unmatched mastery of the Force, strategic genius, and psychological manipulation make him a more well-rounded and dangerous opponent. A duel between the two would undoubtedly test the limits of both combatants, but in the end, Sidious's refined control over the dark side and his depth of experience would likely secure his victory. Sidious's overwhelming advantage lies in his mastery of Sith sorcery and his unparalleled control over the Force. As a practitioner of the dark side for decades, he has refined his abilities to a degree that surpasses even the prodigious power of Knightfall Vader. His Force lightning is devastatingly potent, capable of overwhelming and incapacitating even the strongest opponents. The destructive energy he wields is more than just a weapon. It's a manifestation of his complete control over the dark side. Vader's prodigious skill with the Force pales in comparison to the sheer variety and precision of Sidious's arsenal. Beyond his Force powers, Sidious's tactical brilliance and psychological acumen would prove decisive. Where Knightfall Vader is driven by passion and fury, Sidious operates with cold calculation. His ability to anticipate and manipulate his opponent's actions is unparalleled, and his intimate understanding of Anakin's mind and weaknesses gives him a critical edge. Sidious would exploit Vader's emotional instability, leveraging his doubts, fears, and rage to disrupt his focus and drive him into mistakes. This ability to control the psychological battlefield would make it nearly impossible for Vader to gain the upper hand. Sidious is also a master of deception and misdirection. In a duel, he would not rely solely on brute strength or straightforward tactics. Instead, he would use feints, illusions, and unpredictability to keep Vader off balance. This strategic approach contrasts sharply with Knightfall Vader's aggressive and relentless style, which, while powerful, can become predictable over the course of a prolonged engagement. Sidious's ability to adapt and manipulate the flow of battle would allow him to exploit the gaps in Vader's defenses. Another critical factor is Sidious's endurance and control in high-stakes confrontations. While Vader's stamina is seemingly limitless, it is his emotional volatility that Sidious would weaponize. The Dark Lord's ability to remain composed under pressure would allow him to outlast Vader in a battle of wits and resilience. As the confrontation dragged on, Sidious would systematically wear down his apprentice, turning Vader's aggression and energy into liabilities. A single moment of overreach or emotional distraction would be all Sidious needed to deliver a decisive blow. Sidious's advantage in lightsaber combat further solidifies his position. While Knightfall Vader's prowess with a blade is undeniable, Sidious's style blends speed, deception, and precision in a way that makes him one of the most dangerous duelists in the galaxy. He has defeated multiple Jedi Masters in quick succession, showcasing his lethal efficiency. In a duel with Vader, Sidious's technical skill, combined with his ability to augment his strikes with the Force, would enable him to hold his ground against, even dominate, his apprentice's raw aggression. Finally, Sidious's experience as a Sith Lord grants him an unmatched perspective on the nature of power and its application in combat. Where Knightfall Vader is relatively new to the dark side, still wrestling with his transformation and emotions. Sidious is a master of its intricacies. This depth of understanding allows him to exploit the full potential of the dark side, wielding it not just as a weapon but as a tool for complete domination. While Knightfall Vader possesses extraordinary strengths, including his stamina, raw power, and lightsaber skill, these attributes are overshadowed by Sidious's superior command of the Force, his tactical brilliance, and his psychological mastery. In a confrontation between the two, the Dark Lord's ability to outthink, outmaneuver, and outlast his apprentice would ultimately lead to his victory. Despite Vader's best efforts, Sidious's combination of cunning and power would prove insurmountable, reaffirming his status as the ultimate Sith Master.